Welcome. I'm so glad that you can join me here today. 262 to uncover yet again another segment on what is faith. And my name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis, and this is an audio-visual version of my novel, named after my ministry, TheSovereignLight, a course in metaphysical spirituality is what you're being guided through. And today's lesson is 228, and the excerpts from pages 653 and 54. And if you haven't been introduced to this before, might I suggest going onto YouTube and searching out Love's Creation Unlimited. And that would be my channel. I'd love it if you subscribed, or even Odyssey. And you will find me in many places with the acronym capital R, small m, capital A. From the very beginning, to take you through this book from day one, from first page. Might I suggest signing up or finding me on Patreon, Patreon. And if you haven't done so already, take a few deep breaths in and out. And from the soles of your feet, if you're standing or sitting, from your tailbone, sitting position, always have your back straight, breathing in. And I'd like to vibrate out through the heart space center, where we find and anchor our reality from 4D to 5th multidimensional frequency. At this moment, we might be resonating in a 369 or a 528. The whole entire thing is to connect with nature, because that's where we find our empowerment and we take our power back. The more disconnected we are, the faith will blind us from the external environment and the mirrors that deflect and reflect like weapons. So it is up to us to go within and clear out all the clutter, do the shadow work, and from a lower density carbon level to enlighten without cheating into a hybridized version of yourself where you can only go to a certain level with these injections, rather. Right now they're in the experimental stage, but however, to do it biologically, and reach those angelic realities as a creator God being, rather than from the inside out, and be responsible of everything that reflects for you to engage and co-create with, rather than become depending on it for your salvation. And so I went on and on into another sermon again, as I do. I kind of weave into the tapestry, and this is what the bonus is when you go into these videos. Okay, So let's move on forward as I start to read from page 653. What is faith? Does the self remember? And when it's a consciousness created from it, the first conceptual awareness, awareness, your consciousness from within the womb was faith. First it came, the spirit, from the knowing that the self could have everything and anything it had desired for. And this, within that cocoon, it manifested before it came out the contractual agreements of what it would play out and have its way with, and its external way with it, in like a dance. The faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence. So this is our plasmic field. Like, you heard of plasma before? And the membrane that it contains itself with, and then when we interact with others, we kind of merge an in-between, and we can also create and procreate this way too, without having to sexually combine. We do this in the form of companies, businesses, enterprises, should I go on, corporations? But they are kind of on a corrupted system. Even though the idea is there, it had to come from somewhere, someplace, in its synthetic version of the real thing. So this is the complementary affirmation and activation for the day. And I would like to hear you say it with me, or at your own pace. The faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence. And take a breath in. And what might your weary heart be asleep and unawakened to doubt, for any hesitation, please reach out to me and make a comment, and I will answer in the best way that resonates for your enhancement of experience. And one more time, you know what the force and source is, the Ida and Pingala. Eventually, I hope you come to grasp and into some kind of revelation with the emblem on the back of this book. It has a lot of meaning. And the yellow being the neurological component of it all, with your nervous system. And so, I suppose you have to purchase the book to see what's on the back. This emblem that represents my ministry, the Sovereign Light. And with that said, let me hear you say these words out loud. Ready? faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence. And take another deep breath in. Ready? And keep saying it throughout the day and as many times until it sinks in and makes a difference in your world. The faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence. From the moment of its very breath, it became aware and that its needs were somewhat more distant than before. So, the moment we come out into the light from this tunnel that kept us in a cocoon-like state within the womb that gave us everything. And then to meet with its demands, and the more of this experience would show for its ability to respond had to come from somewhere when its needs were somewhat more distant than before. All your senses, all your mobility, you're screaming out, ah, crying, having fits. And if you don't make any sound or make any movement, how are you going to get the help, right? So faith can penetrate the dream within a dream and confront this awareness in the moment of manifesting now. So we kind of have to move beyond that level of dependency that we've been kind of ripped away from the mother and disconnected from Creator in the way that we no longer know how to provide for ourselves because we were prematurely taken away into something synthetically created and recreated in the version of corruption that was not real. It was an interpretation of someone else's reality that was forced to fit into one spacesuit, and then everybody else was in a caste system of the hierarchy to be recycled over and over again. And so from the moment that the self can dream it, faith will help to see it through, like it did within the womb of the mother, because it already had manifested and within another time continuum. So we kind of forget that because we become traumatized from the moment of birth. We are traumatized in a clinical-like setting even. And the umbilical cord is ripped away from us and the mother and taken from somewhere to become lab experimental preservatives and, aging creams and something that oil of Olay can put on your face or something like that. Not in particularly, I shouldn't be giving any names, but I was just giving one brand name, and that could be false evidence too, because I really don't know to be blemishing oil of Olay in this matter, but it just came to my mind. In any event, that disclosure was just an example, but really not factual. I don't have the study or research on it. So just saying, given an example of an older entity of a brand. So in case, you know, I don't want to be sued by something like that, I'm sure. And so it's a disclaimer. Let's continue on. When space and time become one and the same, then so does the outer world with the inner to emerge. Particles that make up matter appear and disappear, and slow or fast is this time marker. Faith is this activator for subatomic particles, and that of both worlds to consider metaphysical. So the purpose for today is in going deep enough to really get it, this thing called faith. To really go deep enough to this thing called faith. Faith is real to handle with as the safest companion, and therein is found its true identity at last with Creator Self. From the self-contraction faith had created, and from faith it had to mold the self-experience with the truth in its expansion. Faith is one of those golden keys that helps the self along its development of higher awareness and to enlighten its evolution through a higher state of consciousness with. Or it can be done in a cult-like fashion, descending downward to control the masses with, from the outside in, and changing in the variations of the many hurts and traumas to corrupt the tapestry. And here we are, trying to iron and work through all those shadows from the past. And we do it, and when we do start clearing from the inside out, not only does our world change, but it ripples through the rest entire, not only this earth, but galactically as well, and even into the inner earth of Shambhala. And so there's many levels. And when we clear, it's not only the 100th monkey effect, it's also the earth is ascending. And if we're not ready, we have to recycle and morph perhaps into another reality, or into the reality that the earth has ascended on, to play on this platform right here and now in this present moment. And with that said, I will leave you with today's affirmation, and I hope you join me next time on what is the soul and how is it different from the ego. And that will start another pointer for lesson 229 as we commence with what is the soul and how is it different from the ego. And I hope you join me to uncover some of those truths and revelations with me. And thank you for listening and participating. And I hope you actually got something out of this thing called faith. And what is it? What is faith? The faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence. And take a breath in. The faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence. The faith that guides me comes from the experience within the space of soul that is between my source and force existence.